About a week and a half ago, I did a video explaining why I was selling a lot of my holdings that I bought at the end of last year. So do I regret selling my stocks, and do I still stand by my decision? In this video, I will give you an update on that, as well as talking about these topics here. The upcoming market moving events. We have a lot of events coming up before the next FOMC and CPI that could really alter where the market goes in the midterm. And then we also have the bond market predicting more pain. The stock market is usually the slower, more irrational market than the bond market. And the bond market is a lot more accurate at predicting what happens to the macroeconomic environment. So we will go over the dislocation between the bond market and the stock market, and why I think the stock market could actually follow what the bond market is predicting. Bets are heating up that the Fed can actually do a 50 basis point rate hike. So we will go over that, and then I will give you my technical analysis. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So on February 6th, I posted this video talking about why I was selling my stocks that I bought towards the end of last year. Now, most of the commentary was supportive because regardless of what I do, I'm always transparent with you guys, and I always have a basis for why I'm doing it. It's not just an empty statement or an empty action, right? There's a lot of reasoning that goes behind why I was comfortable buying stocks towards the end of last year and why I was comfortable selling them after FOMC. For those of you that are new to the channel, back in October 2022, I said we're at a 50% retracement level from the previous bull market, which is usually, if you look historically, that is a really optimal time to buy stocks. So it's not like I thought that was the bottom, but we were at the 200 weekly SMA, and we were also at a 50% retracement from the previous bull market that we saw in 2021. So I was very comfortable buying stocks there. However, since then, the market rallied too quick, especially in a lot of high beta names. If you look at names like ARK and all of the stocks that are in there, some of these names went up 50 to 100%. We also made 100% on Tesla, just about there, between 70 and 100%. Just on Tesla shares. If you've been following my TA Tuesday, TA Thursday, you guys know that around the 4,300 level, which we've hit a couple of times last year, that was the level which I was looking at to potentially start offloading these stocks. As you know, I like to fade the market. I try to buy when there is extreme panic, and I try to sell when there is exuberance. And it's funny because you can't really satisfy everybody, right? Like when I made videos saying that I was buying stocks here, I was getting so many comments, and that one was kind of surprising to me. I was getting so many comments from people saying, you know, don't you know that it's going to get worse? Why are you buying here? Are you crazy? You're leading your followers to slaughter. And I was saying that, hey, I'm not leading anybody to do anything. I'm just transparent about my moves. I'm a commentator on the market, and I tell it how I see it. And for me, a 50% retracement from the previous bull was reason enough for me to buy. And now, after an insane run-up that I did not expect, when I look on the horizon, I ask myself, well, what impetus do stocks have to keep rallying? Most of the earnings are out. Most of the guidance is out. And the Fed funds futures and bond market are really betting that interest rates are now going to be higher for longer, where it seemed like the stock market was actually lagging on that front. So where I was comfortable buying in October, I'm comfortable selling here. That's what I was saying in the video. I'm not claiming that I didn't claim that was the bottom in October, and I didn't claim that this is the top here. It's just the conditions, according to my risk management principles, basically supported both decisions. Supported buying in October for less risk than what it appeared to be, and selling here because the risk to me was a lot higher. And I'm going to go into details. So do I regret selling here? No, of course not. Even if the market rips, like we have FOMC, we're going to go over this when we talk about the upcoming market moving events, but we have the FOMC meeting minutes coming out. We have PCE coming out. I mean, those could surprise to the upside, and we could eventually see this 4,300, and I still wouldn't regret selling here because my principles, my risk management principles, along with certain metrics like the S&P 500 earnings yield, showing that you actually are better off from a risk standpoint investing in treasuries at the moment, because the S&P 500 earnings yield gives you a less yield than what treasuries give you at the moment. And treasuries are risk-free because of the dislocation between the Fed funds futures bettors and the stock market, because CPI came in revised higher 4 out of the last 5 months, and because Fed fund futures are actually predicting a higher Fed funds rate than what was in the last Fed dot plot, I was comfortable selling here. And by the way, if you want access to all of our analysis, all of our alerts, my long-term analysis like this, where I was talking about in October why I was comfortable buying, the analysis from a week and a half ago saying why I was comfortable selling, our day trade alerts. Today, we just closed out our Tesla puts for 60%. Currently have a short on Meta that's up $8 per share, as well as our futures day trades and our Zoom masterminds, which you get access to for the rest of your life. Our last mastermind, which we just had over the weekend, talked about how to trade retracements for highly successful setups, how to determine liquidity, bias, confluence, and going over all of our trade recaps from the previous week, our live trade recaps. You get access to this stuff forever. Link is in the description below. Would love to have you. Make sure you click and apply, and you will get a response back if you were approved. All right, so upcoming market moving events. We have the FOMC meeting minutes coming out February 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern. On Thursday, we also have an update on the Fed's balance sheet. They're going to update us on where the Fed's balance sheet stands. Currently, it is hovering around a cool 8.3 trillion. So we will get an update on if that is still declining slowly. Remember that they had a target of 95 billion a month being rolled off of the Fed balance sheet. It is down quite a bit from its high that we saw last year at around 9 trillion. So it is down almost $700 billion, but we are nowhere near the Fed's goal. And then on Friday, we have PCE. That is the Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, which is the one that the Fed says is their preferred gauge. So we will see what that looks like on Friday. We also have CPI on March 14th and the next FOMC meeting on March 22nd. Now, in terms of the Fed meeting minutes, if the Fed meeting minutes, I think that it will rock the markets in a very similar fashion to an FOMC meeting because of the major dislocation between the bond market and the stock market. In my view, the bond market has completely surrendered to the Fed. If you look at the yields, they are rising all across the board between the important ones, especially the 3-month, the 2-year, the 1-year, the 10-year. They're rising all across the board. And the bond market has finally believed the Fed, whereas the stock market, you still see, I mean, today, as of the time of this recording, we have a nice drop down. But, you know, you saw high beta names like ARK, Roku, DocuSign. Those shot up into oblivion while the bond market was rising. So if you think about it like this, the stock market is really the speculator's playground, whereas the bond market is where serious investors go to make bets about what's going on with the macroeconomic environment. The stock market has never been a good predictor of the economy because the stock market is where speculators go to bully on retail traders, and they can do so every single day. But the bond market is really where you get serious bets. And by the way, the bond market is much bigger than the stock market. So one of the reasons that I also sold stocks is because now I can get a better yield on the bond market than I can on the stock market. Like I said, I rode the stock market up from October up until now, so made really nice gains that I want to protect. But now looking at where the stock market is in terms of S&P earnings yield, this is the yield that the S&P 500 stocks, in terms of earnings per share yield, this is the yield that they are expected, the culmination of the entire S&P 500 expected to yield in terms of earnings. So when I look at this and you see that the median is 7.28%, or sorry, the mean is 7.28%, the median is 6.7%, and the max is, 18%. To me, when I compare this to bond yields, and the fact that for a 6-month treasury, I can get a yield of 5.034, or even if, we're just comparing 4.66% on the S&P yield, almost every single bond yield from 2 months up is going to give you a better rate than what the S&P currently is offering in terms of an earnings yield. One other thing to note about an earnings yield is if you take a look at what happens after a recession, you get a major drop in earnings yield. We saw this in 2020. We saw this after 2008, really in 2009. We saw this after the dot-com crash. So we haven't yet seen this for, if we are going to determine there's a recession in 2023, we still haven't seen this. So, if we do get more of those recessionary pressures for 2023, if earnings continue to come in lower, if guidance continues to come in lower, if the Fed continues to hike, which I will talk about in a second because that is the next thing to talk about here, then I eventually do expect this earnings yield to also tank. All right, let's talk about the possibility of a 50 basis point rate hike. I want you to focus on something. Currently, for March 22nd, the meeting on March 22nd, the consensus is still largely at 25 bips. However, this is declining slowly and this is increasing. So just from a month ago, it was 0% likely the Fed would do 50. Then a week ago, it was 9.2% likely that the Fed would do 50. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. There, 0% that the Fed would do 50 a month ago. And then now we see 9.2% a day ago. The last trading day was 18 and now it's 24. Why is this happening? Well, it's happening because the bond market, like I said, is finally believing the Fed with yields sharply rising once again. And by the way, if you guys have been following my videos and you saw my take on the 2-year and 10-year Treasury futures, I was saying that the 10-year yield would likely rise from here. So you are better off shorting the 10-year futures, which we see a decline since that trend line. Remember that yields and futures prices are inverse. And I also said that you could short the 2-year note futures after breaking this trend line, and that is going swimmingly as well. That one I just said in a video. You didn't even have to be part of the academy to see that. You just had to follow my videos. But it's because of these rising bond yields and the market finally starting to believe the Fed, as well as the CPI revisions that came in higher than expected almost all across the board, coupled with the fact that most of the earnings is out of the way already, so everything is priced in. And on some of the mega caps, we have seen missed earnings and bad guidance, such as on Apple. And now we see Home Depot and Walmart also offering negative guidance. And lastly, the reason is because the jobs data continues to come in stronger than expected. So lower unemployment, lower jobless claims, higher job openings. That continues to wreak havoc because it suggests that the Fed has a lot more to go, especially in the face of not declining inflation like we thought, right? Like inflation might be declining year over year, but month over month, it is still, in my view, actually rather precarious, right? It's something to still be concerned about. So with that said, no, I don't regret selling my stocks. And it seems like, we had bought the bottom in October. And for now, this is the recent top. Although, like I said, positive data on the FOMC meetings front, positive data on the PCE front, this thing can rally, but that's not, my point is not to capture the bottom or the top. My point is to manage risk in the face of what I see. And like I said, I'm always transparent about my moves. It doesn't mean that I'm always right about my moves. As a matter of fact, I shorted Apple too early. And, that is public. Now Apple has fallen below 150. I thought it would make this move way earlier. And so I actually had a losing position that I had to roll a losing options position because I actually had bet Apple would be below 150 much sooner than this. But Apple, even on extremely negative earnings, had rocketed up from 145 to almost 158, right? So it's not, my timing isn't always right, but I believe in my thesis for my decision making, and I believe in my need to constantly manage my risk according to what I see. And for me right now, high beta stocks, growth stocks, in the face of the rally that they saw, I don't see an impetus for significant upside. I do like locking in my profits here. And if there is upside to me, I think it'll be incremental in the short to midterm. And lastly, I want to talk about the S&P 500 technical pattern here. Like I said, inverse head and shoulders is the most reliable pattern in isolation, but when it does fail, it is also the most reliable pattern to fail, meaning when we break out of an inverse head and shoulders like we did, but come back below the neckline, that is considered a failed pattern, and it fails more successfully, an oxymoron, but it fails more significantly once the neckline is broken, more so than other patterns as well. So keep that in mind. Pay attention to this. On the SPY, I don't think it has failed as much as the futures chart. So the SPY, I think, still has a bit of ways to go before a full failure. We are now breaking below the trend line, but the market is still open as of the time of this recording, and we could close above it. Who knows? But if we do break below this trend line, then I do expect this pattern to fail, and we can potentially disregard it. But we will need this week of data drops to smooth out before really making that assessment. Anyway, traders, that's an update. Hopefully you got something out of this video. If you did, leave it in the comment section below. Let me know if you ended up buying stocks. Let me know if you are still waiting on cash, waiting in cash on the sidelines. Let me know what you are waiting for, how you see the market. I'm interested in hearing all of your perspectives. I do think it's hilarious that a lot of you, when I did my video about selling stocks, a lot of you did come back and say, oh, I'm happy to buy the stocks that you were selling, or the market is ripping, you're an idiot for selling. And then seeing those comments deleted. No, it's hilarious. Hilarious how these things go. But leave a comment down below. Leave a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. If you want access to all of our trades and analysis, our Zoom masterminds, link is in the description below. Would love to have you, so apply and you will get a response knowing if you are approved or not. Stay safe out there, traders. Peace.